Hi, everybody. Welcome to this product briefing. Really excited about this one. AudioCodes have just brought a new certified product to market. So I want to jump on with Giddy to get the lowdown. Giddy, can you just introduce yourself, please?
Sure, Don. Thank you, and great to be here, take part in this. Yeah, my name is Gidi Aldersberg. I manage the Voca solution, the Voca Conversational and Interaction Center solution for AudioCodes here at HQs.
Awesome. I know you've been working on Voca for a while, but now it's officially certified as a Microsoft Teams contact center. Now that's a very competitive landscape. I think we're up to 22 certified solutions. Obviously, slightly different approaches to how they interact with Teams.
Right.
Could you tell us what's unique about Voca? Why do you think there's a good opportunity there, and what are you bringing that's unique and different?
Sure. So yeah, indeed, the contact center area, and even in the subset of, contact center solutions for Microsoft Teams, there are plenty of players out there, and a lot of what we do is the same, but still each has its own different flavor and its own unique take at what they're trying to do and how they're trying to help enterprises, organizations in this space. With us, with Voca CX, roughly there are a few areas that make us pretty unique. The first one being our form of integration to Microsoft Teams, okay? Where some other vendors use models like connect and extend, where calls are being brought into Azure and into Teams in one way or another. We don't need to get into it right now, but with Voca CX, what happens is the services that we use in the solution are Azure native. Okay, so rather than interactions that make their way into Azure and then into Teams and onto the agent that's using Teams, with Voca, everything already starts within Azure. We leverage a technology stack from Azure Communications Services, which gives us a very tight interop with Microsoft Teams. And that has a few advantages when it comes to stability and accuracy of routing. And
yeah, for those not familiar, Azure Communications Services is essentially the underlying architecture of all the Teams audio video. So it's that as a service for ISVs to build upon. So you're essentially building on the same foundations that 300 million Teams users are on.
Exactly. So yes, so the Teams integration is one area that's pretty unique about us. Of course, another area is we keep talking about Voca being an AI-first CCaaS. So definitely when it comes to conversational AI, and I guess I'll be happy to elaborate it as we move on, we made conversational AI a true built-in component of our solution. So rather than integrating cognitive services onto the CCaaS with Voca, you start with those cognitive services already loaded into the solution and ready to go. So that's another area that makes us pretty unique in this space.
Yeah, I think that's really exciting. I know AudioCodes in general are doing a lot with AI, with meeting insights and other bits and pieces. And it's exciting that you can leverage all the investment Microsoft are making there because you're in ACS, because you're using cognitive services. So I think we're very early in this AI journey, but it's definitely something that's going to really rock the contact center space.
Oh yeah. We're only in the beginning of that journey with AI and CCaaS, for sure. And then maybe two more things that again, our own special flavor in this space. Ease of deployment is a big one for us. We do know as solutions become more and more cloud native, they do become easier to deploy. With Voca, since everything is a true cloud service, when we want to deploy a contact center desk, it's as easy as sending out a link to our customer out there. And to configure a simple desk on our solution, it's something that can literally take an hour, maybe a bit more, maybe a bit less, depending on how familiar you are with Voca, but very easy to deploy the solution and to get it going, configure it, and so on. And the last thing, and that may be less related to Voca specifically, but more about Voca as part of the AudioCodes ecosystem, is the fact that our customers can enjoy a managed Teams migration, so a managed UCaaS, if you will, with a managed CCaaS, all coming from AudioCodes, from one single vendor.
Yeah, I think it's exciting what you guys are so into the team space. If you just look at the certifications, you've got SBC, you've got recording, you've now got contact center, you've got devices, you've got MT. Like you've got a lot going on, meeting insights. Like there's a lot going on around Teams. So if someone does decide to partner with AudioCodes, they can pick more than one thing from a single vendor, which is exciting. And I also think the commercial model, your approach is slightly different as well. What are you doing there?
Yeah, definitely. Maybe we'll touch on that later on. We keep in Voca, we keep talking about this thing that we're seeing in the industry where many departments in the enterprise actually need contact center. They just don't know that it's called contact center, right? If you're thinking about a sales team, if you're thinking about an IT help desk, HR desk, and so on, they all provide service during the day in one way or another. And all of them in one way or another can benefit from contact center or CX capabilities, let's call it, right? So imagine, for example, the impact of reporting for the sales team, or the impact of skill-based routing for an IT help desk, and so on. Actually, we've just seen Zoom in their latest earnings call just a week ago talking about how they are seeing a lot of traction around IT and HR departments for contact center.
Yeah, they're pivoting heavily towards that space as well. You say there's a spectrum beyond. There's kind of traditional make receive calls, and then there's super hardcore 10,000 seat contact center, and then there's a massive range in between where people need advanced capability. You touch on reporting. That's a big one I see, where it's like teams functionally would do what they want to do, but reporting wise, they need to jump out of the box because they just need that little bit of extra understanding and control and insight as to what's going on.
And you did ask me, Tom, about the commercial model, but I started from that because I wanted to explain why our commercial model is the way it is. And the bottom line of it, it is not based on the number of agents. Okay, so if we really want to supercharge all those Teams users with CX capabilities, we better have a model that doesn't limit the enterprise in being able to spread those capabilities out. So in Voca, our commercial model is a usage-based model. It's based on peak concurrency. So basically, for all we care, a customer of ours can bring all the users onto Voca and allow them to enjoy those capabilities. And what will dictate the price, I guess, for using this is simply how much traffic is being passed through Voca, whether it's an IVA, IVR related traffic or calls with users.
Yeah, I think that's really exciting. I think that's at the moment, most of the industry is per seat, and those per seats can be quite expensive. So having consumption based is really interesting.
Right.
That's a great overview. Talk us through what kind of customer scenarios are well suited to Voca, and maybe what have you got going on at the moment in terms of anything you can talk about customer projects or referenceability. You might not be able to use names. So give us some idea of where the fit is. I'm a customer, where both would fit for me.
So yeah, we do have a pretty, I would call it an interesting spectrum of kind of use cases where Voca can make an impact. Of course, the first one is the classic area of a CCAS for a main desk. Now, when we consider the fact that Voca is a lightweight solution, it's not a fully fledged contact center. It's not your Genesys, NICE, 5.9 and so on.
Yeah, I love that you're open about that as well, because a lot of people try to overpitch solutions in this space. Like if you need Genesys, it's pitching for the right type of customer is great.
Thank you, Tom. No, it's very tempting to put yourself next to those names. But actually, that's exactly the very interesting thing that we realized, and really we found out about it from field observations, right? It's the fact that, guess what? A lot of customers do not need a Genesys. They don't need a 5.9. They don't need a NICE. And that's exactly what I was going to get at. So some of our customers, and namely customers from areas like industry, manufacturing, education, government, municipalities, and so on, areas where it's not, let's call it the Delta Airlines of the enterprise world, they can definitely do with a lightweight solution such as Voca. So that's definitely one area where we make a great fit. Another area is we do have quite a few deployments also where we have an enterprise that's using a premium CCAS for the main desk, but they have an IT help desk, they have a travel desk, they have a sales team that again does not need the fully fledged capabilities of a contact center. And then we make a great fit for those internal departments as well. And then maybe other areas where we definitely also play in. One is the IVA space. And here I will also be very, very clear about the fact that Voca it's not a cognigy, right? If you're an enterprise that's looking for a Siri-like experience, it will become a project, and typically a long one and also an expensive one. In Voca, we have a lot of self-service capabilities with all that built-in conversational AI and data deep capability and so on. We can definitely help a lot with simple IVAs. Actually, talking about customer examples, these days, we are going into production with one of the largest roadside assistance services in the United States that operates a 1-800 hotline, where we are going to do the IVA bit of it. Things like location-based routing and asking the caller what their call is about, being able to prioritize urgency, theory to an available agent, of course, trigger text messages, all sorts of conditional routing based on the membership status and things like that. Those are all things that we really do completely out of the box. Definitely a lot of automation, IVA, self-service capabilities that you can get from Voca.
Yeah, and that's an area where you seem to have quite a lot of flexibility. Again, some certified contact centers in this space is, here's the feature set, you get what you're given. Correct me if I'm wrong, Gilly, it feels like you've got some architecture capability there where the customer can say, I've got this particular voice routing scenario or this business problem, and you can help make Voca potentially a solution for that. Is that right?
That's exactly right, Tom. And again, it's this combination between a visual canvas of, draw the flow that, that we want to achieve, but then also being able to integrate with those APIs, databases, and so on, leverage conversational AI as part of that. And by doing these customizations, you are able to really bring in all of your systems under one kind of service workflow that can automate a specific scenario. Yeah. And maybe a last area where we also find ourselves playing quite interestingly is maybe 90% of our deployments are Voca delivered as a full cloud service SaaS from AudioCodes. Yet we do support also an on-prem deployment, whether an internet connected on-prem deployment or an isolated deployment. In the isolated case, we find ourselves backing up some of those premium cloud contact center solutions. For example, there's a very large global shipping company that is using one of the most popular, one of the top 3 cloud contact center solutions out there. And this cloud contact center solution might have a downtime of 2-3 minutes each and every month. And for many companies out there, 2-3 minutes of downtime is nothing, right? But when you talk about a large global shipping company, that results in potential revenue loss of millions of dollars, right? So we find ourselves acting as an on-prem backup for that cloud contact center and allowing that shipping company a peace of mind when it comes to being able to continue to deliver service to callers, even when that very capable CCAS might come down for just a few minutes, right?
Yeah, or just as a risk mitigation, like the what if scenario, when you're into those kind of numbers, even if you activate that capability once in a blue moon, it's still worth having it because we know all cloud services are fallible. No, none of them, that's the nature of it. Very fast to recover usually. But yeah, if you need that guarantee or you need to be able to say to your business, we have a plan B, that's really interesting.
Exactly. For me, it's not even about whether it's being used or not as a backup. It's the sheer fact that there is a backup, right? That's the value. The value is the peace of mind, knowing that, okay, if these things fall, if this doesn't work, here's what's going to replace it. And yeah.
So, Giddy, maybe that's a really great intro as to where it sits and how it plays. Maybe you could show us some of the interface and what it looks like, because people are always interested to see.
Sure. One thing that I know a lot of customers are asking us is, for example, again, we keep talking about built-in conversational AI in Voca. What do we mean by that? What does that mean? Yeah, let me share my screen. So when we talk about built-in conversational AI in Voca, there's a few things that we mean by that. Again, on the theoretical level of the product, the cognitive services like speech-to-text, natural language understanding, text-to-speech are all pre-integrated and pre-trained also as part of the solution. So all of those work completely out of the box. Now, That's the technical aspect of things. The commercial aspect is that even when it comes to consuming those cognitive services, it's us as AudioCodes that are consuming those cognitive services from Microsoft on behalf of our customers and partners. So the goal is really to make life easy for everyone. If you're a customer or partner and you want to start leverage conversational AI in Voca, you do not need to deal with a cognitive service provider separately. You deal with AudioCodes and that's it. And we do have a license type, which includes, the cost for those cognitive services. Now, conversational AI in Voca really starts from the conversational auto attendant, right? The classic, how may I help you, or where would you like to reach? Mm-hmm. And there is a contact and department section to manage that, but that's maybe less interesting to show. I think the cool bit is to show the visual flow designer. So here I'm going to a flow that simulates an IT help desk scenario. We did talk about the IT help desk just a few minutes ago. So we have a flow here that greets the caller, then asks the caller, are you calling about a new case or an existing case? If it's an existing case, it's going to ask for the case number and then route the call to an available agent. The great thing is that throughout this flow, the caller does not touch digits or does not use DTMF for even once during the entire call flow. And what I mean by that is, as you can see, we have a speech inputs in several areas of this flow. And if we go into one of them, we can see a bit of what's going on. First of all, we can see that there are quite a few modes of operation for the speech input. So we support free speech. So literally, transcribe something that someone said, maybe send it out to a CRM, maybe send that to a voicemail repository and so on. So that's one more mode of operation. Another mode of operation, which we can see here, is the keywords. So here we will let the user to configure keywords that they're looking for. And based on whether a specific keyword was said or not, we can continue the call flow in a specific way. So
that can up the reliability. If you say, please choose between IT, help desk, and support, the AI is listening out for one of those words, so the accuracy goes up as opposed to trying to pick it out of free text.
Exactly. Behind the scenes, a lot of things are happening, loading up a custom model for those keywords. Maybe if it's a unique term, let's say, for example, let's say I'm putting here your name, Tom, in this keyword section. Behind the scenes, Voca will start analyzing what phonemes, how are people going to pronounce that word to be able to recognize it. And this goes back to our long experience and accumulated expertise that we acquired throughout time with conversational AI and optimizing speech to text and things like that. Yeah, definitely a great way to make a conditional progression in the flow based upon specific keywords. Then also lately, and actually this is part of our participation in the private preview program of the Microsoft Speech to Text group, we have access to capabilities that are still not generally available. And namely, and this is something that we've started doing recently, is the support for what we call structured output. So if I want to collect someone's ID number, case number, if I want to take a date, I want to take a credit card number, I can set things on our end, to be able to understand, I'm now listening into for example, a passport number that is this and that many. So we can select that, for example, and say, this is the pattern that I'm expecting. We can use regex expressions.
That's cool.
Many other things to be able to control the output and make sure that this output is actually useful for the later part of the flow.
So this is one of the beauties of being in ACS and cognitive services is all the billions of dollars investment Microsoft are making in those areas, you inherit those capabilities. So this stuff will only get better and better over time.
Oh yeah. And for us, it's all about, again, a lot of capabilities already exist, right? You still need to know what you're doing there, right? You need to understand how these services work and take time to integrate them and to optimize and train and so on. So our passion is really to handle this complexity and make it as easy and seamless as
Accessible,
possible
yeah.
for our customers that are using this.
Great. Thanks for showing us the user interface. That's really good to see. What about, can we dive a bit deeper into architecture? We've talked about it being on Azure. What does that mean? How do we get phone numbers for this? Do they come from you? Do we bring our own phone numbers? What does that look like?
Right. So again, the Voca solution is completely Azure based, and definitely the very vast majority of our customers just consume Voca from the AudioCodes cloud. It's funny, people expect that if it's delivered from our cloud, they might have an additional hosting fee or something like that. But actually, in Voca, the price is exactly the same, whether it's in on-prem or coming from our cloud. And that's simply because when we deploy Voca as a service from our cloud, it makes life easier for everybody. It allows a very quick deployment. It allows the customer also to enjoy any new development that we release. The customer enjoys that immediately, and we do release quite a lot of new features, several times a queue, every queue. We do leverage the AudioCodes SBC as part of the connectivity. When it comes, for example, to Microsoft Teams connectivity, we can definitely connect to Teams in all three modes. So direct routing, operator connect, as well as calling plans. Not a problem.
That's a big point for me, because I think everybody would assume with AudioCodes Heritage, SBC's DR, that's a given, but you are able to connect calling plan and OC numbers. So it doesn't have to be numbers routed in via AudioCodes Cloud. I could bring my Operator Connect provider, whoever they are, route it through to Voca, and that'll still all work.
Yeah, for sure. And we do have many deployments that are like that. And again, many CCaaS vendors out there get their contact center connectivity piece from AudioCodes. As Voca, we enjoyed this wonderful benefit of having a native in-house industry-leading SBC that can come as part of our solution at no additional cost and so on. And definitely customers can bring their own phone numbers for sure.
Cool. And what about something I've heard come up more than once is multi-tenancy. Can you handle that, and how does that work?
Yeah, so actually Voca is a multi-tenant solution. This again goes back to spreading contact center capabilities across the organization, because if you're using Voca in your IT help desk and in your sales team and your HR team and support team and so on, you definitely do not want to mix between admins, between flows, between reporting of each of those desks, right? Maybe you're an enterprise that has multiple sites. You definitely do not want to mix between the site admins. And maybe you're a service provider that has multiple end customers. So you definitely want to split them between tenants. And definitely you can do that with Voca. We do not limit the number of tenants. Of course, those tenants can connect to the single Teams tenant of the organization. And the best part is that the licenses, the Voca licenses, can float on demand between those tenants. In many global enterprises, that let's say you have a site over in APAC and another site in EMEA and another site in North America, definitely you can do a follow the sun method and utilize less licenses, share them across the multiple Voca tenants.
Yeah, I certainly see that use case a lot with enterprises. Some of them are even really more franchise models. So the IT is completely separate. A single tenant for Teams, because that's the only way it really works, but they always want to R back down. We control this, you control that. So it's nice you have that option.
Yeah, giving that extra control for each and every admin.
Definitely. So to round us out, Giddy, just can you dive a bit more into the commercial model? I'm going to press on that because everybody wants to hear that. Like, how's it work? What kind of price ranges are we talking about here? Is it different for partners versus end customers?
Not a problem, with pleasure. So as I said, the commercial model is based on concurrency, and our license, if you will, is a Voca channel. And there are two flavors for a Voca channel. One is what we call a DTMF only channel, which is everything that exists in the Voca solution minus those cognitive services that I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
And then we also have what we call a conversational channel, which comes with those cognitive services included as part of the license and as part of the price. I give you like ballpark figures. If I translate that channel currency to an agent seat term, roughly an agent seat in Voca loaded with all those cognitive services for conversational AI typically is around $75-$80 per agent seat. But when we talk about a normal seat without conversational AI, and when we want to compare apples to apples with other vendors that don't do conversational AI, our agent seat starts at as little as $45 US per agent per month.
Nice. That makes sense. You're flowing through some of those cognitive services AI costs. So if you don't need that stuff, you don't have to have it on. But if you want to do the smart, there's some extra cost there.
Exactly. And I'll be honest, Tom, of course, we put conversational AI in the front of our offering, right? And we will definitely continue to do so. There are many new things that we're working on that you will see coming from us around conversational AI. However, definitely many customers are like, Giddy and team, this is great, but I don't need conversational AI at this point. At this point, I'm just looking to migrate my contact center to a cloud and have something that's tightly connected to my Microsoft Teams. So
yeah, and that happens a lot with technology. Like people want to place their bet with a partner or a vendor they know is on the journey, but they as a business are not there yet. So they want to go with somebody they know is doing all the clever stuff, but they're like, we're going to get there in 12, 24 months.
Just knowing that it's possible when the time comes is already a value.
And is there any minimum channel, minimum seat counts? There's one of the challenges in the contact center space often is like for the smaller business, they're like, we've got an IT help desk, but we're only 5 people, and the big contact centers don't care about that. So is there any minimums, maximums we should be aware of?
So when it comes to a managed service by AudioCodes, there is a minimum, but a pretty minimal minimum, which is right around 10 agents. Okay. That's the minimum that we would do as a managed service. But I will say, Tom, that we do have deployments. You might be surprised, but we do have deployments for less than that. But then it's just not provided as a managed service, right? We are still here to support the customer, provide version upgrades and all that, but just not providing that as a fully managed service from AudioCodes. So,
and I guess that might be the very small seat count might be potentially where partners can play a part as well of having the multi-tenancy and those kind of opportunities.
Exactly. And this is also the non-managed model is the model where we definitely make sure to leave that margin for the partner to come in and give their value on top of our application. Definitely.
Yeah, there's lots of partners out there, particularly in the telco space, who are increasingly looking to add contact center in as an offering around Teams, because it's one of those areas where there's real values to be added, both consultancy wise and moves that changes operational wise. So it's great to have something like that in your portfolio to be like, yeah, we can sell you minutes and channels, us and everybody else, but what else can we do? Can we do the recording? Can we do the contact center?
Exactly.
That kind of thing.
If you put yourself in the shoes of a service provider, direct porting or Teams connectivity is something that everyone are doing, right?
Yeah, it's table stakes, isn't it? You've got to have it, but it's not a differentiation.
Exactly. So this is a chance to make yourself a bit different and also for sure add value to your bottom line, because connectivity only goes so far when it comes to revenue generation, right? But when you start adding things like CCaaS or recording, like you said, all of a sudden you're able to generate a lot more value from each and every user that you are supporting.
Definitely. Cool. Giddy, thanks so much for being so transparent with us and showing us the demo. If we pique people's interest, if they want to find out more, if they want to maybe kick the tires, what can they do?
2 very easy things that one can do if they want to look into Voca a bit further. One thing is to just, you can literally go right now to the Microsoft Teams store, type in Voca in the search. You will see our Microsoft Teams application coming up with a very easy to use online onboarding experience. We even give you a phone number from us free of charge for 30 days. So you can immediately test any kind of flow that you're configuring on Voca. And then also, hopefully many of our audience here are also have an AudioCodes contact here and there somewhere in the world. So just reach out to your AudioCodes friend and ask them to learn more about Voca, and they'll definitely be able to take it from there.
Awesome. Giddy, thanks for your time and thanks for showing us Voca.
Thank you very much, Tom, for having me. And see you next time.